You know that in Roblox, people do things that seem completely unthinkable. Things that start as nothing, just text on a screen, just pixels moving around, and end up changing real lives forever, sometimes in ways nobody could have predicted. This is the story of a boy named Tyler, a boy who made one decision that should have stayed inside a game but didn't. This story was shared with me by an anonymous follower who asked me not to reveal their name. I gave them my word, but the story itself, that I will tell. Before I do, drop a like and hit subscribe. I post stories like this every week. Real cases, strange cases, cases from inside Roblox that most people never hear about. And every single one is more unsettling than the last. Tyler was 15. He lived in a mid-sized town, the kind where nothing much happens and everyone knows your face but not your name. At school, he was quiet. Not the kind of quiet that people find mysterious, just invisible. He sat in the back, turned in his homework late, never raised his hand. Teachers remembered him when the register was called and forgot him immediately after. But online, Tyler was someone else entirely. In Roblox, specifically in a Bloxburg server he'd been playing since he was 12, he had a house he'd spent months building, a car, a regular group of players who asked where he was when he didn't show up. He had a reputation. He had history. He had a version of himself that felt more accurate than the one that went to school every morning and came home to silence, because home was silent in the wrong way. His parents weren't the type who screamed at each other. They were the type who had stopped speaking almost entirely. Meals happened in shifts. The TV was always on to fill the space where conversation used to be. Tyler learned early that the best thing he could do in that house was disappear into his room and not remind anyone he existed. So he did. Every evening, every weekend, every school holiday, he was at his desk, headphones on, logged in. His father knocked sometimes. "Tyler, come eat. Tyler, it's late." Tyler would say 1 minute and mean it, and then look up 2 hours later and realize the house had gone dark. His mother stopped knocking. He met her in April. Her username was Sable. She joined his usual Bloxburg server on a Tuesday evening, started building a house next to his, and made a comment in the chat about his roof design that made him laugh out loud. Actually laugh, not just send a laughing emoji. They talked in-game for 2 hours that first night. Then she sent a friend request. He accepted it before she finished typing. Within a week, they were talking every day. Within 2 weeks, they moved to Discord. The messages came fast, back and forth, sometimes for 4 or 5 hours without a break. Jokes, voice memos, playlists they made for each other. She told him things she said she hadn't told anyone. He believed her. He told her things back and meant every word. Sable lived in another state, far away, a 12-hour drive at minimum, probably more. Tyler had never thought much about geography before. Now he thought about it constantly. He looked at maps, he looked at distances, he looked at bus routes, because Sable had started saying things like, "I wish I could actually meet you." Like, for real, not through a screen. And Tyler read those words and felt something shift in his chest. Not butterfly nervousness, something heavier, something that felt like purpose. He started to think about it seriously, not as a fantasy, as a plan. The bus was cheaper than a flight. That was the first thing he checked. A coach ticket, point to point, came out to just under $80. He could manage that. He had some birthday money saved. He just needed a little more. That was when he started looking at his mother's wallet. The first time, he told himself it was temporary, just borrowed. He took $20 from the fold of cash she kept in the front pocket, the emergency money she never seemed to count. He told himself he'd replace it from his next birthday, or Christmas, or somehow. He told himself it was practically nothing. The second time was easier. The third time, he didn't tell himself anything at all. By the time he had enough for the ticket, 4 separate amounts had gone missing from that wallet, small enough each time to seem like a mistake. Together, just over $90 gone. His mother noticed on a Wednesday. She came into the kitchen while Tyler was making toast, and she had a particular expression on her face. Not angry yet, just calculating. She asked him directly, had he taken money from her purse? He said no. Looked her in the eye, and said, no. She didn't believe him. He could see it, but she had no proof and he had no confession. And so it ended there, for about 20 minutes. Then something shifted. Tyler had seen it before. This thing that happened to her when a frustration didn't have anywhere to go. She couldn't get the answer she wanted from Tyler. And somewhere in the kitchen, something tipped. She picked up a glass from the counter. Didn't throw it, but put it down so hard it cracked. Then she came at him. Not with the glass, with her hands, and then with the nearest thing her hand found, which was a wooden spoon from the jar on the counter. It wasn't a beating. It was a release. She hit him twice across the back and then stood there breathing hard, like she'd just finished a sprint. Tyler didn't cry. He picked up his toast and went back to his room and locked the door. He sat at his desk and opened Discord and typed to Sable, "I'm buying the ticket tonight." Tyler spent 2 weeks preparing in silence. He told nobody. Not his one semi-friend at school, not his father, not anyone in his Roblox server. This was something he was holding close, turning over in his mind every night before he slept. He had a destination, he had a date, he had an address. Sable's town, not her exact street, but close enough. They'd figure out the rest when he got there. His grades dropped, though they hadn't been high to begin with. His father noticed at dinner one evening and said, "Tyler, your teacher emailed. What's going on with you?" Tyler said, "Nothing. I'm fine." His father looked at him for a moment, then looked back at his food. Tyler kept planning. The coach would leave from the city terminal at 6:15 in the morning. He'd need to get there by 5:45. The journey was just under 13 hours with one transfer. He'd arrive late afternoon. He had enough money left for food and a return ticket if he needed one, though in his version of the plan, there was a vague, unexamined idea that maybe he wouldn't need the return ticket. Maybe things would just work out. Maybe this was the beginning of something. He talked to Sable every night. She was excited. "I can't believe you're actually doing this," she said. "No one's ever done anything like this for me." He read that sentence probably 40 times. He set his alarm for 4:30 a.m. He packed a backpack, a change of clothes, his phone charger, his headphones, the leftover cash. He put it under his bed. He went to sleep. At 4:30, the alarm buzzed and Tyler was already awake. He dressed in the dark, moving quietly the way you do when a house is asleep and you need it to stay that way. He picked up the backpack. He took his ID from the drawer where his mother kept important documents. She'd given it to him for a school trip 6 months ago and never asked for it back. He went downstairs. He drank a glass of water standing at the sink, looking out at the dark street. Then he opened the front door and walked out. The city was cold and mostly empty at that hour. He took a local bus to the terminal, sat in the back, watched the streets go gray and then slowly lighter. At the terminal, he bought a coffee he didn't drink from a machine and found his platform and waited. When the coach pulled in, he felt his heartbeat in his throat. He boarded, found a window seat, watched the terminal slide away. For the first time in a very long time, Tyler felt something that he would later describe, though not out loud, not to anyone, as happiness. Not the blunted, distant version he sometimes felt in Roblox. Something more immediate. The seat was uncomfortable and the coffee was terrible and he was terrified. And underneath all of that was this clean, uncomplicated feeling. I did something. I'm going. He put his headphones in. He watched the motorway unfold. He texted Sable, "I'm on the bus. See you tonight." She sent back 3 exclamation marks and a heart. He leaned his head against the window and closed his eyes. He was somewhere in the middle of the journey, somewhere flat and gray and unfamiliar. When it happened, the coach had been moving normally. There was light traffic. The driver had been smooth and steady. Tyler had half dozed, half watched the landscape, eaten a cereal bar from his bag. Then there was a sound from the front. Not a bang, more like something giving way, and the coach began to pull to the right. Sharply, people grabbed the seats in front of them. Someone in the row behind Tyler said, "What the?" and didn't finish. The driver was doing something at the wheel, fighting with it, and for a moment it seemed like he might correct it. Like it was just a wobble. Like everything would settle back to normal. It didn't. The coach went through the barrier at the edge of the motorway and down an embankment, not a steep one, maybe 4 or 5 meters, before it struck the concrete base of an overpass support and stopped. The impact was hard and sudden. Tyler was thrown forward against the seat in front. His shoulder hit first, then his head. The lights inside the coach flickered once and went out. There was a moment of absolute silence, the kind that only happens right after something terrible. And then, the sounds started. Someone crying. Someone calling for help. A hissing sound from somewhere under the floor. Tyler sat still for a moment. He checked his hands. He moved his neck slowly. He was okay. His shoulder hurt badly, and there was blood from somewhere on his forehead. Not a lot, but enough to feel warm on his face, but he was okay. He looked out the cracked window. They were on a concrete slope, tilted at an angle, the overpass looming above them. He looked down at his phone in his hand. He had a message from Sable. "Everything okay? You've gone quiet?" He started to type back, then he stopped. His hands were shaking. Emergency services took 40 minutes to reach them. Tyler spent those 40 minutes sitting in the same seat, not moving much, watching the other passengers. An older woman near the front was being helped by two men who seemed to know what they were doing. A teenager a few rows back was crying quietly. The driver was outside. Tyler could see him through the windscreen, on the phone, moving in tight circles. Tyler's shoulder had stiffened. The blood on his forehead had dried. He kept thinking, in a strange, detached way, about the coach terminal that morning. The gray light, the bad coffee, how normal everything had seemed. And then, without knowing quite how it happened, he found himself thinking about his mother's kitchen. The sound of the coffee maker, the way the light came in through the window above the sink in the morning. Her voice, not the angry version, the earlier version, the one from when he was small and she used to narrate what she was making for dinner while he sat on the counter and watched. He hadn't thought about that in years. He pressed his back against the seat and he thought, I want to go home. I want my mom to be in the kitchen. I want to be somewhere ordinary and small and boring and safe. Roblox didn't cross his mind. Sable didn't cross his mind. The plan, the ticket, the months of saving, none of it. Just home. When the paramedics finally got to him, checked his pupils, checked his shoulder, put a temporary dressing on his forehead, he answered their questions in a flat, quiet voice. His name, his age, where he was traveling to, who to call. He gave them his mother's number. His parents didn't know he'd left. That's the part that made everything worse. They had woken up that morning, found his room empty, assumed he was somewhere in the house, bathroom maybe, or kitchen with headphones on. By the time his mother tried his door at 8 a.m. and found it unlocked and the room empty and his bed barely slept in, she had moved through confusion into something closer to cold dread. She was still searching the house when the phone rang. The next 2 hours were a kind of horror that only parents understand. The paramedic on the phone was calm and professional. Your son is okay. He was involved in a road incident. He's being taken to hospital. He is conscious and stable. All the correct words, none of them touching the fact that she hadn't known. She hadn't known he was gone. She hadn't known there was anything to worry about until the thing had already happened. His father drove. She couldn't. She sat in the passenger seat with both hands in her lap and didn't speak for the entire journey. At the hospital, Tyler was in a treatment bay with his shoulders strapped, a butterfly bandage on his forehead, and an IV for fluids. He looked small. He looked pale. He looked 15. His mother walked to the bed and stopped. She looked at him for a long moment, then she sat down next to him and put her arms around him very carefully, avoiding the bad shoulder, and held on. His father stood at the foot of the bed with his hands in his pockets and his jaw working, not saying anything. They stayed like that for a while. Later, 2 days later, when Tyler was home and the shoulder was in a proper sling and the bandage had been changed twice, his mother came to his room and sat on the edge of his desk chair and talked to him. Not shouted, talked. She asked him why, not in an accusatory way, in a way that suggested she genuinely needed to understand, like she was trying to reconstruct something that had broken and needed to know where the break had started. Tyler told her. Not everything, not in order, but enough. The loneliness, Sable, the way it had felt like the only real thing in his life for months, the plan that had seemed, from inside it, completely logical. She listened. When he finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I didn't know it was that bad for you here." He said, "I know." She said, "That's on me too." Then she took a slow breath and reached over and hit him. Once, on the good arm, not hard, more like punctuation, and said, "Do not ever leave this house without telling me where you are going. Ever. For any reason. Do you understand me?" He said yes. He meant it. She left the room. He sat with his phone for a long time without unlocking it. Eventually he opened Discord. There were 51 messages from Sable. He read them all. Then he typed one reply. "I'm okay. I'm home. I don't think I should do this anymore. I'm sorry." He put the phone down on the desk. He didn't open Roblox that night. Or the night after. What happened after that, whether he went back, whether he and Sable ever spoke again, whether the game still meant what it used to mean, nobody knows for certain. But one thing is true. From that point on, whenever Tyler left the house, his mother knew where he was going. Every single time. So, who do you think carries the most responsibility here? Tyler, his parents, Sable, or the world that made Roblox feel like the safest place to be? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe and turn on notifications. I bring you a new case every week, and none of them are simple.